Hello everyone, this is Vinayak Naravde here again. In UPSC CSE 2020, I have secured All India rank 37. And secondly, I also feel proud that I have secured one of the highest marks, in fact the second highest marks in India in the personality test. I have secured a score of 212 out of 275, which is considered to be an exceptional score, and that is one of the reasons why I have such a good rank of All India rank 37. So, in this particular video, I'll be talking about my strategy for interview preparation, and as and when a situation arises, I'll try to explain like what happened in my actual interview, and I'll try to share my experience. So, having had a successful journey with respect to UPSC in the past 3 years, I now stand here in front of you to share my experiences, my notes, my strategies, as well as conduct some sessions on ethics and society in the upcoming future. And I would like to really thank the Unacademy platform. So, as most of us know that Unacademy is one of the largest platforms, not only for educators but also for the learners. And here we have Bahubalis of content making, such as Mrunal sir, such as Pratik sir, who have guided thousands of individuals into a successful UPSC career. So please feel free to join the platform as and when you desire. Now, let's come to the topic, which is interview preparation. First of all, this interview is one of the most important aspects of your entire examination. Although it is only 275 marks weightage as compared to mains, which is 1750 marks, this is one thing which is going to decide where you will be in the list. It is said that the main score will decide whether you will be in the list or not, and the personality test score will decide where you will be in the list. So that will decide your service preferences, your service allocations, as well as your cadre allocations. So an extremely important phase, and that's why it is called as the last mile, and one of the most important miles, because well begin is half done, but it is not completely done until and unless you reach your destination. And the personality test is the last stepping stone which you have to cross to have a very enhancing journey as an administrator in the future. So in this particular presentation, I'll be dealing with the presentation in the following manner. So firstly, we'll try and discuss whether it is an interview or a personality test, because a lot of times what we say is this is an interview, but UPSC tries calling it as a personality test. And then I like to basically divide the preparation of interview into these three particular parts. One is the detailed application form, which you fill after the mains, wherein it has a lot of information about, it is basically a biodata about yourself. So how to fill that particular DAF form, what are the things that are asked in that DAF form, and I'll dwell into a little bit into those details. Current affairs is something that gets asked a lot in the interviews, especially if there is some hot topic which is ongoing. For example, there was during our interviews there was occupation of Afghanistan by Taliban. That was a hot topic which was consistently being asked by the interviewers. So current affairs, a very important topic. And then thirdly, I like to divide this particular preparation as opinion based questions, which you have to answer, which you cannot say no to. That you cannot say no to a question which is opinion based. So this is something like how to tackle these particular questions. Then a lot of times you get feedback from seniors that don't give a lot of mock interviews or give a lot of mock interviews. How to deal with these particular mock interviews? What is their importance, and how can they help you enhance your speaking skills and your personality skills? Then I will be talking about answering questions. Again, a very important aspect, because sometimes we tend to beat around the bush and we also tend to bluff. So what is the correct approach? Should we answer all the questions or should we dodge certain bouncers? So what is the correct way to answer the questions which we'll be doing? Then again, another important thing is body language and etiquettes, because when you are sitting in that particular room, you are surrounded by 5 people and they are asking you questions one by one. So they are following that etiquettes and manners to basically ask basically to ask you questions one at a time. And so what should be your body language, what should be your etiquette which you should be following, because that ultimately determines your personality, because this is a personality test. And finally, two important things: how to say don't know, and how should you revise, how should you prepare for these particular by conducting mocks within oneself, one another, by actually going to official mock interviews and other things which I did during this particular preparation. So firstly, is it an interview or a personality test? So UPSC likes calling it as a personality test. And as I have said previously, this is the last stage of the examination. This is the last mile. Well begun is half done, but it is not completely done until and unless you reach the destination. So UPSC has defined syllabus for everything, but not for a personality test, because that is what the interviewers are looking forward to judge your personality, not based on a restricted syllabus, but on each question one at a time, and how you answer those particular questions, how you deal with stressful environments, and some other things which they are very knowledgeable to judge you on. So no defined UPSC syllabus, and it is not a question and answer session. Remember, you are going to meet 5 different people whose experience is going to be much more than what your age is. So these are highly intellectual people, and you have that opportunity to sit with them under a single roof. That itself is a very privileged condition. And going there, expecting a question and answer session is basically something you are reducing the joy of that particular process. So this is basically a discussion. You are going to learn a lot of things from them. They are not just going to ask you questions. And continuing with this particular point, since it is not a question and answer session, you are not expected to know everything. A lot of times people come out of the interview hall and they tell, I answered all the questions, and when the marks come out, they are around 130, 135. So you are not expected to answer everything. You are not expected to know everything under the sun, which is what the myth goes, that UPSC is about everything under the sun. You are not expected to know everything under the sun, because the panel knows you are a human and you have your own limitations. You cannot answer everything and anything. So it is not expected from you to answer everything, but what they check is how you react. So how you react when you don't know a particular question, whether you are bluffing or whether you are clearly stating that you don't know, or whether you are taking an extra effort to guess, or you are telling the member basically that you will go back home and read more into it. So there are different ways they try to assess your personality, and this is one of them. So you don't have to answer all the questions, but you don't have to bluff. So going with respect to the next slide, as I have previously mentioned, I like to divide this preparation into 3 different aspects. One is the DAF, the second is current affairs, and the third is with respect to the opinion based questions. So let's talk about DAF. So DAF is detailed application form, as most of you know. And what does it contain? So it is a biodata. It provides the panel a blueprint about what all you have done in your life, what are your interests, what are the areas they can ask you questions on. So it is basically a blueprint about your personality, which they'll be looking forward to explore in much more into detail. So first of all, it will contain your general background, like when were you born, where were you born, which place of origin and residence are, where is your place of origin, where are you actually residing, what is your educational background, what is your professional background, whether you have worked or not, whether you have directly started pursuing UPSC after your graduation, what are your interests and hobbies, whether you have achieved something in life in terms of maybe debates or maybe a good rank in school or any other thing, NTSC, MTSC, whether you are a holistic person. But so what happens in certain cases is when you are filling a DAF, you get a lot of recommendations that write as much as possible. Excuse me. You get recommendations that you should be writing as much as possible, which is not the case. See, I have written this in caps because this needs to be emphasized again and again, that you should not bluff. I'll just give an overview about what was in my DAF. So general background, it was about my name, my birth date, etc. Educational background, I had written about my 10th, 12th, bachelor's and my master's program in the US. My professional experience was my 1-year job experience in the US. My place of origin and residences were there. My hobbies. So again, people write a lot of hobbies even if they are not pursuing, just to impress the panel members. But should you do that? I would recommend no, because every hobby, every additional hobby which you write, which you are not pursuing, it basically gives you that much effort that you need to put in for the preparation of that particular hobby. Because if the panel member asks you any question on that hobby and you are not able to answer, it puts you in bad light, and so you have to prepare much more. I had written only one hobby, which was watching English web series. I didn't even write Marathi or Hindi web series. I was very specific because I wanted to limit the questions to what I was actually doing. I was not watching Marathi and Hindi TV series. I was just watching English TV series or web series. And that's why I wanted to limit the questions and my preparation only for those English web series. I wanted to prepare about the awards, the different shows, the different genres of web series which exist, why English is better than Hindi and Marathi, and I didn't want to delve into the Hindi and Marathi aspect. So you see, I had just written one hobby and limited my preparation and prepared excellently. And even if there was a bouncer question, since I was actually pursuing that hobby, I would be able to answer it through my personal experiences. I need not prepare everything about that hobby if I'm genuinely pursuing it. Similarly, with respect to achievements, you need not brag about anything. If you have achieved something, definitely mention it, because there are likely to be chances that the interview board will question you about those things. So no bluffing even in the achievements. And then sports. I am someone who is more of an academic person, so I haven't pursued any sports. And then I got a lot of recommendations that you should at least write something about maybe some Indian sport, or maybe some sport that can be pursued in 1 or 2 months before the personality test. But I was like, no, this is not me. I was a part of NCC, so I have just written that in sports or the NCC column. I didn't even write a single sport. So what does this tell you? This tells you about the actual portrayal of your personality, because the limited things you write and the things which you are actually pursuing will help you not only limit your preparation, but even if there is a weird question which is going to be asked by the members, you will be able to tackle it with personal experiences. And remember, anything, if you are not able to answer in this particular section, if you have bluffed, if you are over portrayed yourself, then it is going to put you in bad light in front of the board. So fill the DAF very nicely, and only those things which you are actually doing or pursuing, or which you have actually achieved. So that is a very, very important, this is one of the most important slides, I would say, because this is going to decide your interview, like 50% of the questions from your interview, and the remaining 50 will be either opinion based or current affairs based. So that is very, very important, not to bluff and portray only what you are actually doing. Current affairs, again, a very important aspect. As I said, during the 2020 civil services interviews, the Afghanistan issue was in hot light, and then there were a lot of questions asked about what should India be doing, what is the UN doing, is UN underperforming, what is the role of Pakistan, what is the role of China. So this is just to give you an example about how current affairs actually impact your interview. And if you're not able to answer these questions, which are happening, which are on all news channels, which are in the newspapers, it again puts you in bad light, and it questions your preparation levels and your awareness levels about the things which are happening around you. So current affairs is again a very important aspect. So how to prepare current affairs? So I would say give minimum 3 hours. If you have seen my video on current affairs, I have mentioned that if you are preparing current affairs for prelims or mains, it is usually around 1.5 hour per day. But if you are preparing it for personality test, this is after the mains process, you need to give minimum 3 hours daily. In mains preparation or prelims preparation, I advise only to read one newspaper, but here I'll be advising to read more newspapers. You can read either the Hindu or Times of India. You can read the Indian Express and one economic newspaper. And to add to this, what you can also do is you read one local paper. So you need not read all 4 papers, but you can do a combination of 2 or 3 papers daily. So that's why I say you have to basically invest 3 hours minimum every day after the mains if you are looking forward to an interview call. So local newspaper can help you with local news, especially related to your area, and these can be used in your answers in a personalized manner. the more personalized answers you give, it is going to be more appreciated by the interview panel members. So the local newspapers can help you in that aspect. Then again, interview is not only about knowledge, it is about your delivery, right? The way you answer a particular question, the way you present your opinion. And how do you get this? You need to go through a lot of discussions to portray your answers. Now, RSTV, The Big Picture, is one of the important programs which I used to watch personally. Why is this an important program? Because usually there are 2 to 3 guests invited on this panel, and they are retired civil servants or senior civil servants who are actually working. And when you look at them, the way they deliver their answers, you actually start understanding the delivery of an administrator, because you have to be diplomatic in certain cases. You cannot outright insult someone, or you cannot outright criticize the government. So this actually teaches you answer delivery. The RSTV discussion is one of the very important discussions. Then secondly, there's YouTube channel of The Print, which provides Cut the Clutter. It gives you facts and details it from a journalistic point of view, so you at least have the foundation to build an opinion on. So this is also an important program which you can watch during the interview phase. And AIR is All India Radio, which again gives you a lot of information about the government schemes, about the things which are taking place around. So it is also going to help you a lot. Then magazines, ORF is Observation Research Foundation, one of the important magazines for talking about the international happenings which are taking place. It will give you a lot of viewpoints from different perspectives, from Indian perspective, from the perspective of the world, what is the issues with the World Bank, IMF, and it will help you comprehensive cover international affairs, which is one of the hot topics. Now, apart from these things, what is important? Important is you will see that a lot of coaching institutes, a lot of senior civil servants, they'll be organizing some sessions about personal experiences or practical experiences of civil servants on a particular topic. So you need to attend these sessions, because these are the most practical approaches. In these sessions, you will get the most practical approaches about how to deal with a particular problem, and that is immensely helpful, because if a particular question is asked to you, and if you just blurt out some committee recommendations which are utopian, which are not implementable, or which have been pending for the last 15-20 years, then it will put a bad impression. But if you actually go through these lectures which are organized by coaching institutes or some senior civil servants who are forming groups on WhatsApp, etc., what you will be able to garner is a lot of practical knowledge, and you will have those pinpoint, you will be able to tackle those low hanging fruits, which will be able to convey to the examiner that he is thinking in the most practical aspect, and he will be a good administrator. Even if the government is not helping him, he will be able to at least ensure that there is less sufferings for the common public. And these are the practical approaches which we need to adapt in our answer deliveries. So again, a very important thing is with respect to attending the sessions which of senior civil servants who are actually going through different things. So that was about the current affairs. Now, the third important aspect of interview preparation is about opinion based questions. I'll explain one of the experiences which I had during my interview, but before that, I'll try to explain what are opinion based questions. So there are certain questions which you can say, sir, I don't know. These are factual type of questions. You are not expected to know each and every fact. So if there is something which is asked, what is the sex ratio of your let's say Kenya, and you say you don't know, it is acceptable. But when someone asks you, what is your opinion on reservation and reparations? So you need to understand these particular concepts. I am mentioning this particular question because it was asked to me in the interview. So you need to have an opinion. You cannot say, no sir, I don't know, I don't have any opinion, because that displays lack of having analytical skills, and that is one of the most important qualities of an administrator. So opinion based questions, you need to provide an opinion, but you should take a stand. That is what they say, and that is what you mean by providing an opinion. So how can you take a stand, right? You present a thesis, but you have to have supporting points for that thesis, so that others will consider it acceptable. if you don't have a supporting point, it is going to be unacceptable to the other people. So whatever stand you take, it has to be justified, and it has to be justified with good arguments or good facts, good committee recommendations, and that can help you go a long way. That can actually portray your analytical skills to a large amount of extent. Then your stand can be balanced, or even you can be leaning towards one particular side of that particular argument, but at the same time you also have to mention what are the cons of that particular argument. Or if you're leaning towards the cons of a particular thing, at the same time you also have to mention one or two pros of what a particular situation may impact. So taking a stand, it has to be justified. You can give examples, you can give facts, you can give committee recommendations, and you can make your own arguments which you feel you can actually tell them to the panel, and they will revert back to you if they liked it or not. So opinion based questions again have to be provided with solutions. Now what can be the solutions? I have time and again emphasized in answer writing videos, in anything which I have, in all the videos basically which I have done with Unacademy, that your solutions need to be practical and non-utopian. As previously mentioned, there are some committee recommendations which have been pending for 15-20 years and they are still not being implemented. But there are certain low hanging fruits which you can implement in with the least amount of changes, and that can bring a lot of happiness to the common people and reduce their sufferings. So as long as the solutions are practical and non-utopian, the panel is going to appreciate you a lot. And this is something that I don't need to repeat. You just don't have to blurt out recommendations. You have to give out those practical recommendations. Now I'll give you an experience about what the question was asked to me in the interview. So firstly, one of the panel members asked me that, Vinayak, you have lived in the US. Do you know the reparations thing which is going on in the US? And I was taken aback by that particular word, reparations. And I said, no, sir, I'm not aware. I'm sorry. He said, okay, I'll tell you what reparations are. So it is actually the African Americans who have suffered from historical injustice. They are asking for one-time payment of $15,000 to $20,000. And this is kind of similar to the reservation system which has been asked for by our relatively deprived communities. So what do you think is the better thing? Is it the reparations or reservation? Now this is an opinion based question. What is better, reparations or reservations? So I could have, I cannot say no here, that no sir, I don't know reparations, so I'm not going to answer this question. He has already explained me the meaning of reparations. So what did I answer? I said, sir, at any given point of time, our reservation system is a lot better, because our reservation system is providing for holistic development of that individual from the deprived community. We are giving him education, we are giving him public employment, and we are enabling him to get integrated with the society. But reparations, on the other hand, they are one-time payments. $15,000-$20,000 will be short-term relief. They won't help them to integrate into the society, and it will lead to continued deprivation of those African Americans from the society. And he was impressed, but then he tried to grill me. He asked me, should reparations be there for lifetime? Should reservations should be there for lifetime? And then I went for a practical answer. I said, sir, when the reservations were introduced in the Constitution, they had a sunset clause. They were supposed to be in place sometime around 1980s, and they are continually being renewed because of political will, because of political populism. So what we need to do is we need to ensure that the benefits of reservation need not be cornered by some castes, and we need to provide for evidence-based policy making in terms of reservations. So was this practical? Yes. Was this utopian? No, because I could have said, sir, we need to integrate all the castes and communities, and we need to provide the same benefits of reservation. We just need to increase the reservations. That would have been a utopian answer. But what is practical? Practicality is evidence-based decision making. So this is the way you need to answer those questions. And I believe that these are a few things which have actually given me one of the highest marks in the country. So if you are able to do these things, I believe that your opinion-based questions will fetch you a lot of marks. So please focus on the points which I have mentioned here. So, importance of mock interviews. When I qualified in mains, I was told by some people that I should be giving only 3 or 4 mocks, because there is a lot of feedback which you will be getting, and then you may be overwhelmed by the feedback, or by the feedback you get, and you'll be overwhelmed because you'll have to work a lot on that. But then, what is the importance of mock interviews? It is very important, first of all, to judge your body language, because when you go for a mock interview, you are actually surrounded by 5 people. It is more of a UPSC like process, wherein everyone is asking question to you one by one. So that helps you judge your body language, and it also helps you understand your strengths and weaknesses. Like, what are your strengths, whether you are good with factual questions, or whether you are good with opinion based questions, whether you are good with your delivery, your command over your language. So these things will help you basically reduce your weaknesses and improve your strengths. And that is the way, because it is said that you interview is one thing which can be driven by you. If you are answering in that particular fashion, wherein you are taking the panel members towards your strengths, I believe that you will be able to get more and more marks. So mock interviews are very important for understanding your strengths and weaknesses. And I have already talked about answer delivery, about the command over your language, about the knowledge content. So this is again another importance of interviews. Are you beating around the bush? So a lot of times what happens is, particular question is asked and you don't know the answer, and you try to basically tell the interviewer what you know rather than what is being asked. So if that is the case, then it again puts you in bad light, and it conveys to the examiner that or the interviewer that you haven't understood the question at all. So that is something that can be realized through mock interviews. And then there is feedback. As I mentioned previously, I was being told that there will be a lot of feedback you'll be receiving and you'll have to work a lot. But again, we are matured people. We have basically, if you are preparing for interviews, you have cleared mains, which is one of the toughest exams. And then you have that sense of maturity that what are the things you need to work on, what are your strengths and weaknesses. You need not accept every feedback at its face value. But when you try to share the videos which you get from mock interviews with your friends, and if they also have the same opinion, then something is really wrong. But if they don't have the same opinion and the one of the panel members does, then you may think about whether you have to accept that feedback or not. But it has to be in a very gentle manner. It has to be in a very matured manner. So again, there can be negative experiences wherein some interviewer may say you cannot cross 150, you cannot cross 160, but you have to just think about it as something like a bad nightmare, and then you have to go forward with respect to the next mock interview with a lot of confidence and trying to work upon some of the mistakes which you did in the past mock interview. Yes. So a very important thing about answering questions. So imagine you are sitting in a panel of 5 members and you are conducting interviews. So at UPSC every day they conduct around 12 interviews, 6 in the morning session and 6 in the afternoon session. And there may be a case wherein 2 or 3 candidates from Maharashtra appear on the same day, and the panel members, just because he's bored, he'll ask you the same questions. And just imagine if all of you are giving the same answers without adding any sort of a personal touch to it. He'll get bored, and he may give good marks to the first candidate, but he'll give very poor marks to the third, but to the third candidate who answers in a similar fashion. So this is very important. Personalized examples. I'll talk about first line answer in a minute, but personalized examples is very important. I was asked one question because the name of my bungalow is Krishna. The panel asked me, Vinayak, what are the teachings of Krishna that that you actually relate to? And then I said, sir, Nishkama Karma is one of the philosophies which is given by Krishna. And in this philosophy, he says that every human being should focus on his effort and he should not think about the fruits. And this is something that I closely relate to. Why? Because, sir, I am told to be an overthinker, and my parents consistently tell me that you need not think about what will happen, what rank you will get, what services you will get, whether you will be in the list or not. My parents always tell me to put in my effort, to give my best, and then leave it up to God of the results. and that is how I relate to it. And immediately the panel member had a smile, because I gave him a personalized example. I just didn't blurt out, because nishkama karma is something that everyone knows, but how I am applying it in my personal life is something that brought a smile to his face. And this is going to do wonders if you are able to do such sort of personalized examples in each answer that you give. A first line answer, what do I mean by this? I have talked about beating around the bush, and it is the same thing that I'll be talking about here. So let's say a question is asked, Vinayak, what is the status of glass ceiling in India? So the question is, what is the status of glass ceiling in India? It is not about what is glass ceiling, right? So you cannot just start your answer with, sir, glass ceiling means wherein women are unable to reach the top places in their professional career. This is beating around the bush, because you're not answering the question. The first line of your answer should hit the bullseye. You can give them a fact that, sir, there are less than 25% of CEOs in different companies who are females. That is what is the status of a glass ceiling, right? So first line should be your answer. You should not beat around the bush, because see, you have to give concise answers. You have not more than 40 to 45 seconds per answer, and if you are basically trying to beat around the bush and try to give them about what is a glass ceiling, it may take around 1 minute to answer that particular question. But if you directly start with the status of glass ceiling, it is going to give the examiner answer in a platter, and he'll be much more happy, because that answer will be very concise, and that is something that he has actually asked. So that is very important. First line answers and concise answers. Your answer can never be more than 40 to 45 minutes. Imagine I am in a conversation with you, I ask you a question, and you start blurting out all the things that you know. I'm going to get bored, and 30 to 40 seconds down the line, I won't even pay attention to what you are saying. And that is the case with the panel members, because they are interviewing 12 people every day. So, and such things go for a week, because only after 1 week, some of them may get lucky and may have some holiday or something. So your answers need to be concise, 40 to 45 seconds. Now, another important thing is, take a pause before answering. So a question is asked, you take 4 to 5 seconds, think about, structure your answer, and then portray it, or then actually deliver it. So how does this help? It gives the panel member an expression that you have actually processed the question, you have thought about it, and then you are using your analytical skills to basically prioritize the points which are the most important, and then leave the remaining less important points towards the end. So this is a very important thing. Don't just hastily answer the question, because that will not only destroy the structure of your answer, but that may also get less important points a higher priority, and more important points a lower priority, because the interviewers, they are usually know to cross question. The first point you deliver, they may start asking you questions on that point. So if you take a pause and if you deliver the most important point first, the interview can be tailored in that particular direction. So this is very important, taking a pause before every answer. Again, in answers, do not bluff. So I have mentioned this previously. Every member sitting in that particular board is around 60 to 65 years of age. He or she has experience of 33 to 35 years. And then your age usually is around less than 27 or less than 30 years. So their experience is much more than your lifespan. So you cannot bluff here, because they'll immediately understand, and then they'll start questioning your integrity. Because remember, if you bluff once, they will provide you an opportunity to bluff, to see if you bluff the second time. And if you bluff the second time, believe me, you won't ever get more than 130 marks in the interview. Because if you cannot act with integrity in front of the panel is going to be completely sure that you cannot act with integrity while you are in the services. So it is, as I have previously mentioned, you need not answer every question, but you cannot bluff. You have to say don't know if you don't know a particular thing. As I have said, it is a test of your integrity. So this is the way of answering questions, and we'll deal with the next slide, which is body language and etiquettes. Now, body language and etiquettes, you are sitting in front of 5 senior civil servants, retired academicians, basically professional people. So you need to act professionally. You need to sit properly. And a lot of times people will tell you to put your hands on your knees and sit in a stiff manner and then look around the panel members. I'm someone who won't advise you to do that. You have to sit properly, but you have to be at very much ease. You have to basically make use of your hand movements if you are used to it, because you have to portray your basic self. You cannot just go and sit down there in a stiff manner and then look here, look around, and then basically portray yourself completely. So you have to be at very much ease. Use hand movements whenever needed. Again, do not back answer. You're not talking to your parents. You're not talking to your elder brother or sister. You're talking to some highly professional people. You cannot back answer them. You cannot just tell them that they are blatantly wrong. There is also a way to tell them that they are wrong, but it has to be in a most dignified manner. As I've said, if the interviewer is wrong, you have to correct them with due respect. For example, during my interview, the chairperson, he said that, Vinayak, I have heard that Lord Ganesha has 12 names. So what do you think about it? And I said, sir, with due respect, you have heard about a shlok which has 12 names of Lord Ganesha, but in actual reality, there are more than 108 names. And Vinayak in particular means Lord of New Beginnings. So you see how I went about that. I didn't say, sir, you're wrong, there are 108 names. I said, so with due respect, there is one shlok which has 12 names of Lord Ganesha, but he has more than 108 names. So that is the way to correct the chairperson or any panel members, because as you are not as they do not expect you to know everything, you should not expect them to know everything. They may be wrong in certain aspects. You have to tell them very politely. Another thing wherein the interview, one of the panel members, he did a mistake was, someone asked me, Vinayak, what is the what is the distribution sector wise for the 450 gigawatt target for 2030 in renewable energy? I corrected him with due respect, sir, we have sectoral targets for the 175 gigawatt target for 2022 in terms of solar, wind, biomass and small hydro, but we do not have any such targets for 2030. And it put a smile on his face, and he actually realized his mistake, and then he corrected himself. He said, thank you for the correction. So that is the way to correct them with utmost dignity. So you cannot just back answer them. You cannot say, sir, you're wrong, this is the way. You see, you understand, this is very important. Correct with due respect. And finally, etiquettes. Say thank you, say sorry, sir. If you don't know, say sorry. If the interviewer helps you with something, say thank you, sir, for adding to my knowledge. So these are basic manners and etiquettes which you should be adhering to. Now, I have told you that you need not answer every question. You need to learn how to say you don't know. So there are 3 to 4 situations which I will be speaking about here. So if you don't know anything completely, you can just say, sorry, sir, I don't know. My last question, again, one of my experiences during my interview, the last question which the panel member asked me, or the chairperson asked me, he said, Vinayak, during one of the discussions with a panel member, you were talking about reparations. And there is a very famous lecture of Shashi Tharoor, which he gave in Oxford University. Have you seen that? And I was taken aback. I had never seen it. And I said, I'm sorry, sir, I don't know. And he tried to push me. He said, Vinayak, that video was very viral. You must have seen it. And this was the last question he was going to ask me. He was trying to test my integrity. Someone else may have said, okay, sir, yes, I remember, I have seen it. But then I went on to say, sir, for the past 3 years, I have been completely out of touch of social media, and as a result, I have not actually seen that lecture. And that again put a smile on his face that this guy has integrity. If he has not seen something, he's not going to answer it. He's just going to say no. So if you don't know, say no. But then what if you are not sure? If you are not sure, then you can say, just sir, I'm not completely sure, but this is but, and then take a pause. You know, the panel member will give you an expression whether you should continue or not. If he nods his head, then go forward with respect to, sir, I'm not completely sure, but this is the case. If he says no, then just stop then and there, right? So that is another way to say you don't know. If you are unable to recall, then you can say, sir, I know this particular concept, but I'm not able to recall it now. And this is very tricky. This you should say only if you know a particular topic, but you are actually not able to recall, because what may happen is that the interviewer may tell you that, okay, it is something related to this, now answer it. And then if you say no, then it will put you in bad light, because then you basically lied that you didn't know it completely and you said you are not able to recall. So use this expression only if you know it actually and you're not able to recall it at that particular moment. And then one of the most important things is trying to show activity. You can say, sorry sir, I don't know this, but I'll go home and I'll read much more into that topic so that I have some sort of a knowledge. So this is another way to say you don't know. So some very important points, you need to go through them. Like, try to use them in your actual mock interviews, and you'll understand the difference. If you say you are unable to recall, and if you actually don't know that thing, the mock interviewers will actually ask you a counter question on that particular topic. So it's use each thing specifically, as I have mentioned previously. Now, how to do revisions? I have already told you the importance of mocks. I personally gave more than 13 to 14 mock interviews at actual coaching institutes. Around 5 of them were offline, and 7 to 8 or 9 of them were online. So it helped me a lot, basically, to explore my DAF, to understand the different types of questions that can be asked to me. So it helped me a lot. Now, what are the other ways of revisions? Thorough discussions. There will be people, there will be your friends who will be going for the interviews. You can make a phone call. I used to discuss with 2 or 3 of my friends every day for around 30 minutes, and that helped me basically create an opinion, better delivery of answers. So that is very important. So keeping questioning your peers and conducting mock interviews. You can basically have a group of 3 to 4 of 3 or 4 of your friends, and then you can conduct a mock interview of one of your friends. That is another way. Basically, now we have Zoom calls, we have WhatsApp calls. So you can definitely make use of these resources to question your peers, to have some sort of fruitful discussions every day. One of the most important things, practice in front of mirror or record your answers and listen to them. 1 month before the personality test, one of my friends, I had actually sent her a mock interview recording, and she said, Vinayak, I don't see the glitter in your eyes, and I actually felt sleepy when you were answering that. And then I actually looked at that interview again, and I actually found her, whatever she was saying was true. And I started sitting in front of the mirror and started using my eyebrows, started to show that spark in my eyes that I'm actually interested in the topic, and this is the reason why I want to discuss this topic much more. So these things help you a lot. Like, in front of the mirror, that is the best, because you are your self evaluator. And then recording and listening to it again, you will understand your pitch, you will understand whether you are taking a pause or not. These things help. This is the best form of self evaluation while going for interviews, and it is the most needed thing. And as I have said, I have given more than 14 or 15 mocks. They have done a great deal of, they have been basically the foundation for my success in the personality test. So this was all about mock interviews. I'll be trying to do much more sessions in the future after the mains, probably on interviews, interview strategy, and other aspects, or like much more details about this interview preparation. Until then, I'll also be actually taking some plus courses on ethics, society and social justice. So this will be my code. It is VN37. V is for Vinayak, N is for Naravade, and 37 is my All India rank. So you can use this code basically to search and subscribe to the courses which I'll be taking on the Plus and the special platform of Unacademy. So thank you everyone, and happy learning, and see you soon.